pillar number one is Bibles. Bibles, easy as that. You can't study the Bible without a Bible, right? But whenever we think about that, though, we start with our Bible. Whatever translation you may use as your primary one, that should be your starting point for a Bible. But then you might want to branch out. I recommend checking out some other translations. I use the ESV, and that's my primary. And then I usually have the Legacy Standard as a more word-for-word translation as a secondary reference translation. I also keep a Christian Standard to have one that's a little less word-for-word to occasionally reference. In this section also, if you eventually were to dive into biblical languages, this is where we'd put Greek New Testaments and Hebrew Old Testaments here. So you could look at the original languages and dive, to the very core of the Bible. And so you want to develop Bibles, getting translations, developing those. And you might have study Bibles, you might have just different translations, maybe some for note taking, maybe some that you leave completely bare so you can just focus in on the text and not be distracted by anything. But you want to start off developing Bibles. So if you only have one starting out and you're thinking, where do I go next? Maybe look into getting another translation. You could research translations. We got some content on translations here on the channel, and start to read and reference these other translations like, oh, that's an interesting phrase. Well, let's look at it in a different translation. And so pillar number one is Bibles.